What's happening? Everybody's architect going live today. I had some pre-recorded stuff ready for the show, but of course, laid plans of mice and men. I had to rush out in a quick emergency to go pick up my partner's daughter. So yeah, the upload didn't quite work out the way I wanted to, so we're doing this live today. This is going to be Junglist World that we're doing today. And it's not the normal format that you're going to see when I do this show, but I at least wanted to get on here and provide some kind of content for today. So, normally what we'll talk about on here is we'll do gaming streams and things like that. I don't know if you watched the broadcast from yesterday. Yesterday I actually had a segment about Jet Set Radio Future's new successor game, which is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I should be getting that this week, and you'll probably see me playing that game, probably doing some more game reviews here in the Junglist World section. Also, you're probably going to see me also doing some lifestyle pieces that I had in interviews. So that stuff's going to be coming up on next week's Junglist World. So bear with me for this one. We're going to do this live, and we're going to see how it goes. I got some funny news stories that I'm going to cover today. And also, I'm going to play for you the video that I have. That's a pre-recorded segment called Architect Soapbox. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what we have today as far as the news stories and what's going on in the world. So yeah, it's been a long time since I got with you guys and we talked about the world on Drumstick Weekly. And of course, things have gotten exponentially crazier since then. I wanted to cover a lot more things, but right now I'm just going to quickly talk about my take on a couple issues. First, let's just go ahead and cover this. So, brain scans on Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, aka The Walking Dead, have officially confirmed he is in fact still alive after a second real-life computer glitch, resulting in his programming freezing, rendering him emotionless and expressionless at the podium during a speech. So we saw that happen the first time when he was actually in Washington, and it happened again. So this raised a lot of concerns about Senator McConnell's health. A lot of the people in the Democratic and Republican Party are concerned about his well-being. Of course, he's in the middle of a sentence and he'll just stop and just stare straight ahead. So they did some scans and they didn't actually find anything. With any luck, he'll be mercifully powered down in the coming months to avoid further tarnishing of the senator's checkered political record, and we'll keep you posted on any developments. So he's going to go ahead and finish out his whole term. Definitely a much older man, and he's 81 years old. I think that at this point, you kind of have to just hang it up, man. I mean, at a certain level, we all know that your faculties start to go, and it's I think it's great that you want to serve the country and stuff, but I don't really know that all your decisions are great. They don't seem like they are, and you're at the age now where I think that the respectful thing to do for some of these politicians to step down and actually let people that are more in tune with what's going on in today's society, issues that people face and all that, let them take the reins and better direct the country, because as you can see, all we're doing is creating more divisiveness and craziness with some of these crazy people that are sort of taking the reins of power. So anyways, that's enough on Mitch McConnell, and I just wanted to quickly talk about this issue we have with our former president-in-chief and orange gentleman. So if you've been paying attention, they have brought charges against Trump. He took the famous mugshot. So moving forward with the case, everybody that's involved in that Georgia racketeering case, including Trump, they've all pleaded not guilty. So sure, none of them did anything wrong, and everything's gonna be fine. There's 19 defendants total in the Georgia case. Some of them are charged with election interference, all kinds of different RICO charges, some mafia level stuff, and these are politicians. So, yeah, so Trump again is just pulling literally the Trump card, trying to say he's not guilty of these things. Everybody kind of knows what's going on with him. He's very transparent, even when he doesn't try to be. So keep an eye on that, of course. I'm sure the whole country is. I personally, when it comes to Trump, the real issue I have with all the support of him and everything is he's being touted by some conservatives as a man with all the answers to this question that will transform the country for the better. However, he's not proven to do so in any capacity. He's not even a great businessman. He's a con man. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's not likable. I'm not saying he's not entertaining. But, we need to run the country effectively and make sure that people, are getting the benefits and the things that they need to survive. Their families are surviving. It's getting tougher with all the different things that are changing in the world today. And I just don't think it's time for reality stars to be running the country, especially if they can't get their ish together long enough to be arrested and all this crazy stuff. I mean, I know it's all political in nature. I'm not saying that the Democrats are that much better. I mean, they've got some horrible options out there as far as people that are running the country. I mean, it looks like our president, falls down all the time. He's also very senile. So, I don't know, man. I think we just need to kind of look at some of the people that are running the country with an actual objective lens and say, are these people actually serving the American people well, or is this just, people that are hungry for power, doing their own agenda and masking it as some kind of, policies that are supposed to help their constituency? I don't think that that's the actual case. I think that what we're seeing is a lot of people that are trying to mask their actions as good for the country, but a lot of them are just fattening their own pockets. We talked about Nancy Pelosi and all these people doing insider trading. I mean, Martha Stewart actually went to jail over $45,000 that, she may or may not have done insider trading with. Yet we have people like Pelosi, whose husband just happens to be the most successful stock trader of all time. Again, Nancy Pelosi's husband is a better stock trader than Warren Buffett. Does that make sense to anyone? Because I don't even think he went to school for this stuff. But even if he did, Warren Buffett is known for his brilliant investing strategies, and somehow this guy is making more money, or is even more successful with his trades than that one, isn't it? And they say it has nothing to do with perhaps him getting some word from his wife on what's going down and making, the proper adjustments to their investments from there. It seems pretty obvious, but, I don't want to make this into a controversial section. I wanted to kind of touch on the current events, but everything these days is like a hot button, explosive issue. And, the world's getting crazy, but at the end of the day, I hope people out there are coming together, and at least in your communities, to, realize that a lot of these problems we all face together, and hopefully, the cooler heads will prevail soon enough and see some actual change. So to get away from all the serious, political stuff, let's do some more kind of weird news stories here. I got some good ones for you today. Very interesting, weird news stories. For instance, have a story. This is about dolphins getting high. As junglists, a lot of us might like to see a herb. Dolphins apparently deliberately get high on pufferfish nerve toxins by carefully chewing and passing them around. So they're basically puff passing on the pufferfish. So this was like initially discovered, reported on a BBC documentary about dolphins. They are one of the world's most intelligent species, and yeah, they're putting their smarts to use in getting high. So there's scenes filmed in this documentary where you can see young dolphins manipulating a certain kind of pufferfish, and when it gets provoked, it releases a nerve toxin, and they're basically passing the pufferfish around, much similar to a joint, and they're all getting high, you know. And I don't blame them. I mean, it's the ocean. You can't. What are you gonna do? Spark up a joint in the ocean? It's not possible. It's water. But, good on them for finding a way to get that split, even if it is at the cost of poor pufferfish. I just thought that was interesting how they're doing that. So, if you want to check it out, the BBC One documentary is called "Dolphins Spy in the Pod," and they got some more stuff there. You can check out some dolphins getting high. And another really interesting story. So, have you ever been in your house and just chilling, and you know something weird happens, and you're just like, "Whoa, that was totally unexpected." I don't, you know, whatever. That happened to a lady in Canada, but this is probably one of the weirdest ones that I've heard about personally. She's sitting there in her living room, just relaxing, maybe watching some Netflix, and all of a sudden, bam, a large like noise happens, and it's on the house, and they're like, "What the hell is going on? It's an asteroid. What happened?" So she looks around the house, and she sees that there's a huge hole in the ceiling in the hallway. So you know, she goes and she looks it, checks it out. Hole in the roof of her mom's house. So in the morning, you know, she could see the daylight coming through the hole, and she thought it was just you know, damage to the ceiling. Couldn't tell it went right through the roof when she first saw it. But the insurance appraiser came by, the roof repairman, and they said it's the strangest thing they've ever seen. The roofer who expected the damage said there's no rotting wood in the roof, and before the incident, the outer shell of the house was solid. So to them, that means that there's something that must have fallen from a very, very high distance and penetrated the roof. Well, it turns out it's actually something called blue ice, which is a term for frozen excrement that can accidentally leak away from planes mid-flight, named for the color of disinfectant used by sewage systems in commercial planes. So yes, that means that a plane literally shit on this lady, and frozen poop burst a hole in her ceiling. So you're just chilling, watching Netflix and chill, and all of a sudden, you know, it's Netflix and poop. So it was wild. You know, again, people were just like, they've never seen anything like that. Blue ice has been known to hit homes. I've never heard of this happening before. Now maybe I'm just like ignorant. But, you know, the poop's got to go somewhere. The pee's got to go somewhere. I just didn't think that there would be a way for that to be just kind of let loose on the plane, especially if it's going to create a huge ball of ice that can, you know, if it can break through your roof, I'm sure it can kill somebody, and that's a pretty shitty way to go. Unintended. So yeah, spokesperson for Transport Canada said they were looking into the claim. The department takes all reports of possible debris coming from an aircraft very seriously. Every reported incident is investigated by Transport Canada officials. So they're going to look through that, but it, you know, Canadian aviation regulations do forbid creating a hazard by dropping waste mid-flight, so that's against the law. So there could be some legal issues for whatever airline was responsible for this, but yeah, it's not the right way to drop shit. Um, so, whatever. Keep your heads protected out there. I'd say grab an umbrella, but I don't think that would really keep you safe from a huge ice ball. And it doesn't happen that often, at least I've heard of. So really not too much you can do. I mean, if a piece of frozen poop is meant to hit you, it's probably gonna hit you. So I just hope it's not meant to hit anyone around you. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So yeah, that was another kind of weird news story that I found. And yeah, I mean, for now, I think that's going to be about all that I want to do here on this show. Again, this is not the normal way Junglist World's going to run. There was some technical difficulties today that caused me to go ahead and do this as a live stream. And yeah, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you like or prefer the live stream. I can do these live, but I'd like to kind of like put stuff together, make sure that the show is actually quality. So that's why I pre-recorded it, is because I want to have the chance to edit it and just make it, as fun and cool as a show as possible. So that's why I take the time to kind of put things together beforehand. And I did that for this one, but I didn't have the time to upload it because of that emergency. So yeah, so right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you an uncut version of my new segment. Soapbox. This will just be like peppered in whenever I have something that I feel like I want to talk about specifically. And I did have a subject this week, so I wanted to bring that in and show you guys, the first edition ever of Tech Soap Boombox. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at Tech Soap Boombox. Give me 1 second. I might actually throw up a countdown here because again having trouble. Alright, so might have to scrap this. What a nightmare. Let me see if I can find another story for us to talk about while I'm loading up this video. I don't know if anybody saw this video. I remember seeing this video. I love snowboarding. I go all the time. This one was terrifying because there was snow behind them in the mountains. They were using one of those go out snowboarding or skiing. Like there's always a ton of people using those selfie sticks to kind of record themselves doing moves and stuff like that. And that's what this person was doing, and kind of the reason they couldn't see what was going on because they had the front-facing camera going, and totally just like once they got down the mountain and looked back at the video, they could see that a bear was running after them. So yeah, I wanted to just show you guys this video real quick. I personally, I think not seeing the bear was a saving grace for the person, because if you see that bear, you're gonna freak out a little bit. You're gonna panic, and most likely, a lot of people, they might fall. If you fall, then you stop and take a look at this. So yeah, this tripped me out. I've always been scared of this stuff whenever I go up snowboarding. It's like running into some kind of a crazy wild animal, because they have to, of course, be out there. It's the wilderness. So take a look at that. That is nuts. That bear is so close. And she's chilling, and she's just sort of like making her way down the mountain. And you see out of the corner there, the bear, see that running up. And that is an absolute trip. and you see it's still following her right now. So if she would have beefed it here, or she would have fallen down or something, like, this is a very tragic video, which is um, so either way, I hope this kind of stuff doesn't happen to me or anybody else I know that goes up to the mountains up. But yeah, there's definitely wild animals out there. So make sure that you're vigilant if you're gonna go hit the slopes this winter, as the summer is coming to an end. We're in that track on summer, so hopefully everybody did have a great summer this year. It was hot as a mother out there, definitely in California, in Southern California. It was brutal. It's a brutal summer. So I hope everybody was able to stay cool somehow and not melt. They said that there's record temperatures recorded in just about every city in the country this year. So it's pretty wild to see that. And yeah, so I'm still trying to pull this video up. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted right now, but I'm gonna get this thing going in hell or high water. So, yeah. And that hurricane that came through here was a bit of a bust. I mean, the scariest part for me when it came to the hurricane was actually the earthquake. The earthquake caught me by surprise. I was a little bit startled by it. Got a pretty good shake over here, to be honest. And earthquakes are usually pretty scary. But as far as the hurricane itself, all you really got was like a bunch of rain and just looked like a winter day. So it wasn't crazy. Definitely didn't seem like those hurricanes that we see in Florida and all that stuff where people's houses are getting like torn apart. It was not on that level. It was basically just a tropical storm by the time it got here. So it's just interesting because I don't think we've ever had a hurricane in this area. So it seems like there's definitely probably something changing out there. I know that people are there's so many different opinions when it comes to like climate change and all that kind of stuff. Like, if it's real, if that's actually what's going on, but it seems to me that there's definitely like some kind of a change going on because hurricanes are not a California occurrence, typically. So to see that we're having hurricanes out here is a little bit concerning. But I don't expect it. I don't think we're gonna get hurricanes all the time. California's definitely not gonna become a hurricane alley. But I just thought that was interesting. I'm having trouble with the file. I can't even pull up. Alright, this is gonna start in a second. What I'm gonna do for now is I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I'm sure you guys probably I'm pointing my blabber and on. I'm hoping to bring these guys in very soon. And make sure that you tune in this Friday for the Friday night episode, live from the basement I'll be doing. That's gonna be fun. I can't wait for that one. It's gonna probably have a lot of original tracks, but I'll be mixing up all kinds of stuff, and it's probably gonna be a good hour-long mix that I'm gonna do on Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So hopefully you guys can tune in for that. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get this video started for you on episode Boombox. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see all you guys right back here on Friday for Friday Night Flex, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Back to the regularly scheduled TV and TV programming at that time. So come through, pull up. I'll get them jams going. So right now, this video program is starting up. Again, this has been a little bit more janky of a show than I ever would like to put on. But again, we ran into some issues earlier today and had an emergency. And a couple of it didn't work out. But next time, I'm going to be on top of this. So I apologize for anybody listening right now that we didn't have the pre-recorded videos and broadcasts ready for you. We're going to do better. We're going to do better. So, alright, without further ado, I'm going to play this video. If it's really laggy or choppy or anything like that, because I'm using the video editing program to play it, then I'll probably just cut off this video. We'll just go ahead and add this segment to next week's Junglist World. And just so you guys know, the schedule for this will be Tuesdays. We're going to have Fresh in the Lab. That's Tuesday. It's basically a lot of music. Even like conventions and stuff that I've been working on here. It's anything that's fresh in the lab, anything interesting. Music from people around the world that are making stuff that I like. Just about anything that's really interesting you'll see on Fresh in the Lab that I've been working on here. Then we have Wednesday World. About current stuff, news, and then at time. So that should be it. And then we have Friday, which is our live show. We have like drum and bass DJs, all kinds of like music genres that you're interested in. We'll have them up here doing like 1-hour mixes and possibly interviews and things like that. Just a fun way to get your party started on the weekends. And you got 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, so you can tune into that. Maybe you're on your way to a party or you're just chilling at home. We'll get that party started for you guys on Fridays with good music and good mixes. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and run this video. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and I will catch everybody on Friday for Friday Night Flex. Architect signing off. Peace out, y'all. Enjoy the video.
For today's Darkitect Soap Boombox, we're going to talk about something that's been on the mind of a lot of Americans, and that is divisiveness. We've all seen it. Seems to be ramping up lately. I did a deep dive on it, and I wrote a little piece that I'm going to read to you now about divisiveness in America and my thoughts on it. Choose to listen if you like, but it's just my feelings. Since long before the Civil War, American politicians have used divisiveness to maintain power and prevent uprising amongst the people. It's become easy to forget our country's origins in the midst of the ongoing political scandals today, as other massive issues we face, such as the war in Ukraine, global climate change, inflation, AI, gun control, even the physical fitness of our elderly commander-in-chief are at the forefront of today's discourse. It's become increasingly easy for many of us to look to those with differing political perspectives or economic class as the enemy, and demonize them, although the truth of the situation is, most Americans want the same thing. The only difference is the method each believes will get the desired outcome. Safer neighborhoods for our children, sustainable food to feed our families, good education and opportunity, access to quality health care. To trace the source of the two-party system and why it's so deeply ingrained in the fabric of our country's government, we have to go back to a time around the birth of our nation, 1787, when the first political factions began to form over constitutional rights issues and how the division of power should be granted between the newly formed federal and state governments. This conflict resulted in the original American political parties, the Federalists, which would later become the Democrats, and the Anti-Federalists, which would eventually form the Republican Party. In 1790, Congress decided to create the capital city of Washington, D.C., along the Potomac River after a contentious partisan negotiation, which was around the time Anti-Federalist leader Thomas Jefferson and future President James Madison coined the term Republican. Not long after 1798, real political division actually led to physical violence, in which physical brawls actually broke out in Congress. One such example was a heated partisan presidential debate in Congress between Jeffersonian Republican Representative Matthew Lyon and Connecticut Federalist Representative Roger Griswold, in which they're said to have attacked each other with a cane and fireplace tongs on the floor of the House of Representatives. This occurred on February 15, 1798, after Griswold had accused Lyon of cowardice during the American Revolution, and Lyon responded by spitting tobacco juice in Griswold's face. Although these times were obviously insane, even our first president, George Washington, issued a warning against the baneful effects of the spirit of party in his presidential farewell address. A warning we can quite obviously see was never taken into account in the years to come. The political division eventually came to a head with the slave revolts and eventually the Civil War, in which Americans shed American blood over the beliefs and practice of slave ownership and other divisive issues between the Northern Americans, primarily laborers, and the Federalists and Southern American elitists advocating for continued ownership and utilization of slave labor in U.S. industry. Shortly after the Civil War and the victory of the North over the aristocratic Southern elitist slave owners, the populace of freed slaves and Northern laborers now saw hope to make an impact in American policy moving forward, which triggered the largest spike ever in participation of voters in the United States politics when the voter turnout reached a record of 82% in 1876. Along with increased interest in voting, there is also an increase in violence around elections, polling places, often yielding more stories than the newspaper could display, as passionate Americans proved willing to fight, often physically, for their belief and party. Bearing this in mind, in an effort to quell violence at polling stations, lawmakers attempted to divert focus from the individual political issues and focus the constituency on our system of two tribes, Democrat and Republican, which has been brought forward into the modern era out of American political leadership and media's inclination to use politics as a battlefield over race, class, religion, immigration, inequality, even voting rights, which is just the right to participate in the conversation in the first place. Over the years, most of us have been born into the same political structure with little recourse if we questioned its methods, purpose, or motivations, and have accepted this two-party binary environment as our reality as American citizens, viewing voting as our way to enact what little change we may be able to make on the issues that affect our lives. Although slavery was abolished after the Civil War, racist and sexist policies continued openly in the U.S., with segregation being part of public policy, hence the colored water fountains and Negro Leagues for baseball, and women being unable to vote until the late 50s, early 1960s. Thanks to the Civil Rights Movement and subsequent Civil Rights Act of 1964, which contained a set of laws that banned discrimination in the workplace regardless of race, religion, color, national origin, or sex. Most of the racial segregation and open discrimination began to decline, although remnants of this dark time in our nation's history still linger to this day. Many blacks and people of color suffered violence at the hands of the police and other authorities for demonstrating or protesting their rights as American citizens. And even today, much of the mistrust of the police among black and Hispanic communities can find its roots back to the civil rights movement in the protests of the 1960s. Most black civil rights leaders, whether their message was one of violent revolution or peaceful protest, were eventually assassinated, further widening the invisible divide between Americans of differing origins within our nation. Just last year, streaming media giant Netflix released a movie called Judas and the Black Messiah, which depicted civil rights thought leader and Black Panther member Fred Hampton, who was eventually assassinated by the CIA for his attempts to unify with other fringe community political action organizations of different races and beliefs, even the KKK, and other controversial organizations, citing the government has wronged all citizens similarly and forming a united front in the interest of the American people rather than just one race or group could actually force change and force politicians to consider the concerns of everyday people within those who govern. Although police brutality has decreased since the 60s, we still see cases like George Floyd, Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, and Breonna Taylor that illustrate this problem is still very much an issue today as well. The very first president ever, George Washington, tried to warn us against putting too much stock and power in the party system, which now appears to dominate modern U.S. political discourse for fear of misuse of this two-party binary by career politicians to maintain power and weaken the unified voice of the American people by keeping them forever mired in senseless, perpetual socioeconomic conflict based on perceived division based on race, religion, and political beliefs with little regard for the effect it can have on the mental health of a nation as a whole. So I guess that I say all this to illustrate, with large scope hot button issues facing the country such as COVID, an impending nuclear war, possible complete financial collapse, inflation, it's definitely given me time and reason to contemplate, if not only for my own curiosity, but for my love of our great nation and people in it, why those who lead us are allowed to lead us, and why such tactics of divisiveness are used to such high effect to pacify the people and push occasional seemingly mindless political agendas forward. It would appear that as a nation, we have never been able to see what we could actually be as a unified group of citizens. In most instances, the discussion has always been, oh no, not another greedy Republican in office, or great, another bleeding heart liberal Dem, instead of, what do I and my family want and need to survive and thrive and for a better future? In blindly subscribing to this two-party system, are we not all, both Democrat and Republican, supporting some things we don't fully agree with or understand, and not supporting some we do because the leader of the party we seem inexorably tied to decided it was best? After all these years of increased visibility on American political processes, we've all seen, since the advent of the internet and social media, hasn't it been proven that many decisions being made by politicians are not being made with the best interests of the American people as a whole in mind, but instead their decisions are seemingly based upon several different agenda items, such as personal finance, retaining power, weakening marginalized groups they don't agree with, and other egregious oversteppings that seem to be coming to light in this age of information and technology. As a people, Americans have always seen the potential of unity. I mean, it's right in the name of our country, United States of America. In a way, should it be a surprise that politicians looking to retain ultimate power know that breaking up that unity through divisive politics and propaganda is a great way to stop us from realizing, as the governed people of America, united, those in power must listen, as without us, the unified people, there's no one left for the leaders to govern. The power of guns, bombs, violence are great and devastating, sure, but they pale in comparison to the strength of a unified people with a unified and simple goal: freedom. So yeah, I just don't know what the future holds, but at the end of the day, being at each other's throats for arbitrary things like religion, race, and all those kinds of things, it's not really doing us any good. It's not giving us any more power. And at the end of the day, unless we're rich, most of us are all going to be downtrodden in pretty similar ways. So, I don't know. I think the best thing to do, instead of trying to find the differences between you and your sisters and brothers and other people, we should be trying to come together and have some love and really be able to fix the issues that are out there. And there's a lot of them. But, we don't make them better by stepping on each other to try to get our goodies. And that's all I got today for the soapbox.